was a woman that felt like my body was.
You're going to have to sit down for this one because this is going to have the Bayhive absolutely buzzing for weeks.
Not. The moment I walked in there, I saw his face. I saw how old he was. I saw time. I said, something said, be quiet.
Now, that's Kelly Rowland talking about a deep emotional conversation that had her shook to the core. But here's the thing. She never said who that man was, never dropped a name, just left us all wondering what kind of earth-shattering confession had her sitting in silence for 2 whole hours. The internet detectives are going absolutely feral trying to connect the dots because this quote has resurfaced right in the middle of one of the most persistent rumors in R&B history. We're talking about whispers that just refuse to die, speculation that gets louder every single year, and a theory that would obliterate everything we think that we know about music's royal family.
Do you think Jay-Z really fathered Kelly Rowland's first child?
With him, anything's possible.
The rumor that Jay-Z might actually be the biological father of Kelly Rowland's son, Titan. Now, before you start typing in the comments, this isn't some random internet gossip that popped up overnight. This theory has been circulating for years, gaining momentum, picking up evidence, and somehow getting stronger every time someone tries to shut it down. Here's the thing that's got everyone's eyebrows raised. If this was complete and total nonsense, wouldn't it have disappeared by now? Think about it. In the age of cancel culture, legal teams, and cease and desist letters, rumors that have no foundation usually get buried fast. But this one? It keeps resurfacing like a bad penny. Every red carpet appearance, every family photo, every time Jay-Z and Kelly are in the same room, boom, here come the side-by-side comparisons and the knowing looks. People are out here playing forensic photographer with baby pictures, zooming in on facial features, like they're solving a crime. They're analyzing body language at award shows, dissecting old interviews for hidden meanings, and creating entire conspiracy threads that would make the FBI jealous.
He collects women.
Wow.
He lays with men.
Jay-Z lays with men.
And Kelly? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Because for someone who's supposedly innocent in all this, she sure has a funny way of handling the rumors. No direct denials, no "that's ridiculous" statements, just strategic silence and carefully worded responses that somehow manage to fuel the fire even more. So buckle up because we're about to dive deep into the most controversial theory in entertainment. From childhood connections to suspicious timelines, from physical resemblances that can't be ignored to emotional confessions that hit way too close to home. This story has layers that would make an onion jealous. The question isn't whether this rumor exists anymore. The question really is, why won't it die? Now let's talk about what's got the internet absolutely losing its mind. Because when people start seeing things, they really start seeing things. We're talking about Titan Jewel Weatherspoon, Kelly's adorable son who just turned 11. And the resemblance theories surrounding this kid are absolutely wild. Fans have been doing full CSI-level investigations on this boy's features, and what they're claiming to see has got everyone shook.
So I'm having a moment this morning because my son just walks up to me. And why is he this tall?
The nose, the smile, even the swagger. That's what people keep saying about Titan's supposed resemblance to Jay-Z. And we're not talking about just 1 or 2 people making casual observations. We're talking about thousands of comments, entire social media threads, and fan accounts dedicated to side-by-side photo comparisons that would make you do a double take. Some fans are going as far as saying Titan looks more like Jay-Z than Jay's own kids. Now that's a bold statement that's got people clutching their pearls. But when you see some of the comparison photos floating around Twitter and Instagram, it's hard to ignore the similarities that they're pointing out. The jaw structure, the way he smiles, that confident little head tilt that screams Carter family genetics. People are zooming in on baby photos like they're examining evidence in a courtroom, creating split-screen images that have the comment sections going absolutely bananas.
I think it's because he loves me, and also when he does it, I think he's like trying to get my attention.
Here's where it gets really spicy. Every time Kelly posts a new picture of Titan, especially as he's gotten older, his features become more defined. The resemblance comments explode. But it's not just about static photos. Fans are analyzing video clips, studying the way Titan carries himself, the confidence in his walk, even his mannerisms. They're saying he's got that same I own the room energy that Jay-Z always had. And that kind of swagger doesn't just come from nowhere. Kelly herself has talked about the changes in her life, saying, "Life is enriching me, you know what I mean? Through different things, through marriage, through having my son one week and losing my mom the next week." But notice how she keeps the focus on her emotional journey rather than addressing the elephant in the room that everyone's whispering about. The thing is, when you've got this many people seeing the same thing, when the resemblance claims are this persistent and this detailed, it stops feeling like coincidence and starts feeling like there might be something deeper going on. Because genetics don't lie, and when the internet thinks it's spotted a pattern, trust me and believe that they're going to investigate every angle until they get their answers.
You know what I mean? Sink a little, but you don't ever sink for anybody. You stand straight, you put your head and face forward, and you know exactly what you bring to the table. Because when you do,
Now, before we dive deeper into this explosive theory, you need to understand just how deep the roots of this story actually go. Because Kelly Rowland and the Knowles family, their connection runs way deeper than most people realize. And once you understand the foundation, everything else starts making a whole lot more sense. Kelly wasn't just some girl who happened to sing with Beyonce. This was a family situation from day one. Born in Atlanta, Kelly's world completely changed when her mother decided to pack up their life and move to Houston. And that move, that single decision, created the perfect storm for everything we're about to unpack. The moment Kelly stepped into that Houston scene, she and Beyonce became absolutely inseparable. We're talking about the kind of bond that goes way beyond friendship. This was sister-level intimacy. But here's where it gets really interesting. Kelly just didn't hang around the Knowles house for sleepovers and rehearsals. She actually moved in with them. That's right, Kelly Rowland was living under the same roof as the Knowles family for years. Tina Knowles didn't just mentor her or manage her career, she literally raised Kelly as her own daughter. This wasn't some industry arrangement or temporary housing situation. This was full family integration. Think about what that means. Kelly was there for every family dinner, every late-night conversation, every private moment, every family decision. She wasn't a guest or an outsider looking in. She was family with all the access and intimacy that comes with that level of closeness.
We knew each other for so many years. We grew up together. We were best friends. We were all sisters. We completed each other.
When Girls Time hit the stage on Star Search and didn't win, Kelly was right there in the rebuilding process. When Matthew Knowles stepped in to manage what would become Destiny's Child, Kelly was already embedded in the family structure. She wasn't just singing with the manager. She was formalizing a relationship with people who had already become her chosen family. But here's where it gets complicated. Even in those early days, even when they were just kids with dreams, there was already a hierarchy being established. Beyonce was always the lead, always the star power, always the one getting the most attention, the best opportunities, the biggest push from the industry. And Kelly, she was watching all of this from the inside, living in the house, seeing how the machine worked, understanding exactly how her own career was being deliberately positioned in Beyonce's shadow. Years later, she admitted to feeling jealous of her best friend's success. But imagine the complexity of those emotions when you're not just watching it from the sidelines, you're living in the same house with a person who's getting everything you want. This intimate access to the Knowles family dynamics would become crucial when Jay-Z entered the picture, because when he started dating Beyonce, he wasn't just meeting Kelly at industry events or award shows. He was stepping into a family structure where Kelly was already deeply embedded, already vulnerable, already dealing with complicated emotions about her place in the hierarchy. The foundation was set for something explosive to happen. And when you mix family-level intimacy with professional jealousy and romantic complications, you've got all the ingredients for the kind of scandal that could destroy everything.
Each other. And it wasn't losing a business partner or a group member, it was losing a best friend, two best friends. And still to this day, I have dreams about them, and I still miss them sometimes.
Here's where the story takes a sinister turn, because Kelly's situation starts looking a lot less like coincidence and a lot more like a calculated pattern, especially when you dig into Jay-Z's history with young women in the industry. Before Beyonce, before all these rumors about Kelly, Jay-Z was allegedly pursuing Aaliyah when she was just 20 years old, and he was already 29. Dame Dash, who was actually dating Aaliyah at the time, spilled the tea about how Jay-Z tried very hard to get with Aaliyah, but she ended up putting him firmly in the friend zone.
He collects women.
Wow.
He lays with men.
Jay-Z lays with men.
This isn't some random accusation. This is documented behavior. Jay-Z has a track record of going after younger women in the industry. Women who are vulnerable, who need mentorship, who are looking for guidance from someone with his level of power and influence. And Kelly, she would fit that pattern perfectly. But the manipulation goes way deeper than just Jay-Z's questionable dating preferences. Because while everyone's been focusing on the rumors about Kelly and Jay, there's a much bigger conspiracy happening right under our noses, and it involves the one person who was supposed to be protecting Kelly's interests, Matthew Knowles. Michelle Williams just broke her silence and exposed something that's going to make you mad. According to multiple sources, Matthew Knowles wasn't just managing Destiny's Child, he was allegedly sabotaging Kelly's career from the very beginning to make sure Beyonce always stayed on top.
It happened like that. And we would have never thought, when the first album came out, I would have never thought that we would end up not being together about 2 days.
We're talking about undermining. Matthew was allegedly the puppet master, deliberately keeping Kelly in Beyonce's shadow, blocking her opportunities, making sure the spotlight never wandered too far from his daughter. Kelly's jealousy wasn't just natural competition between group members, it was the result of deliberate manipulation, designed to keep her down. Think about how twisted that is. Here's Kelly living in their house, being raised as family, trusting these people with her career and her future. And Matthew Knowles is allegedly working behind the scenes to make sure she never becomes a threat to Beyonce's dominance. The man who was supposed to be her manager was allegedly sabotaging her success. So when Jay-Z entered this already toxic dynamic, Kelly was essentially trapped between two powerful men who both saw her as expendable. Matthew was using her to elevate Beyonce's career, and Jay-Z saw her as another young woman he could manipulate and control. She was being exploited from both sides. This explains everything about Kelly's behavior over the years. The jealousy, the emotional breakdowns, the way she's handled these rumors with such careful silence. She's not just protecting herself from gossip, she's protecting herself from two men who have the power to destroy her career and her life. The pattern is crystal clear. Jay-Z targets vulnerable young women in the industry. Matthew Knowles sacrifices anyone and everyone for Beyonce's success. And Kelly Rowland got caught in the crossfire of both their manipulations, used and discarded while being forced to smile and play along with the family narrative.
Do you think Jay-Z really fathered Kelly Rowland's first child?
With him, anything's possible.
When you understand that Kelly was being undermined by the very people she trusted most, the idea that Jay-Z would cross even more lines with her doesn't sound far-fetched at all. It sounds like the inevitable result of a pattern of exploitation that was already well established. Kelly wasn't just a friend who got too close to the wrong man. She was a victim who got caught in a web of manipulation that goes deeper than anyone wants to admit. So now we get to the moment when everything changed. When Jay-Z stepped into this already complicated family dynamic and allegedly turned it into something much more dangerous. When Jay started getting serious with Beyonce, he wasn't just dating some random celebrity. He was entering a tight-knit family structure where Kelly had already been living for years. This wasn't a casual introduction at an industry party. Jay was being welcomed into the most intimate spaces of people who had raised Kelly as their own daughter. And here's where the proximity becomes crucial. We're talking about family holidays, private dinners, birthday celebrations, studio sessions, all those moments where the guards are down and people get comfortable. Jay and Kelly weren't just industry acquaintances who occasionally crossed paths at award shows. They were spending real time together in family settings, year after year. But it was at the Harder They Fall premiere that fans really started paying attention to their interactions. Because what happened there was so obvious that even casual observers couldn't ignore it. Jesus. Jay-Z walked into that premiere like he owned the place, cool and composed as always. At first, he's working the room, acting like he doesn't even notice Kelly standing there. But the exact moment he spots her, his entire demeanor shifts. We're talking about a complete transformation. His face lights up, full-on grin, sudden burst of energy, arms wide open for that embrace. Now, for most people, that might look just like friendly enthusiasm. But this is Jay-Z we're talking about, the man who's made a career out of playing it cool and reserved in public. When has anyone ever seen him get that genuinely excited about seeing anyone at a public event? The body language was unmistakable. The way he moved towards her, the genuine happiness in his expression, the comfort level between them went way beyond professional courtesy. It was the kind of reaction you have when you see someone who really matters to you, someone you have a deep personal history with. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Over the years, fans have been documenting their interactions at various events, and there's always been this undeniable warmth between them. Not inappropriate, not scandalous, but definitely more intimate than you would expect between your wife's childhood friend and yourself. The easy chemistry is something you can't fake. The way they smile when they see each other, the comfortable conversation, the way they seem to have their own inside jokes and shared references. It's the kind of connection that develops over years of close proximity and shared experiences. Here's what makes it even more suspicious. Jay-Z has been there for Kelly during some of her most vulnerable moments. When she lost her mother, when she was going through relationship struggles, when she was dealing with career setbacks. He wasn't making public statements or doing flashy gestures. He was providing quiet, consistent support behind the scenes. That's not the behavior of someone who's just being polite to his wife's friend. That's the behavior of someone who has genuine emotional investment in Kelly's well-being. The kind of investment that makes you wonder exactly how deep their connection really goes. And when you combine that level of emotional intimacy with years of close proximity, with Kelly's vulnerable position in the family dynamic, with Jay-Z's documented pattern of pursuing younger women in the industry, suddenly, those resemblance theories about Titan start looking a lot less crazy and a lot more possible. The foundation was there, the opportunity was there, the emotional connection was definitely there, and the timing of everything that followed is just too perfect to be coincidence. Now let's get real specific about what people are seeing when they look at Titan, because the physical resemblance claims have gotten so detailed and so persistent that they're impossible to dismiss as just fan fiction. Titan Jewel Weatherspoon is 11 years old now, and as he's grown, certain features have become more pronounced in ways that have the internet absolutely spiraling. We're talking about facial structure that people swear mirrors Jay-Z's bone structure, especially around the nose and jawline. Here's where things get really interesting, though. Kelly's husband, Tim Weatherspoon, is notoriously private. He barely does interviews, rarely appears in the public with Kelly and Titan, and there are very few clear photos of him and his son together. So when people try to compare Titan's features to his supposed father, they're coming up empty on the resemblance front. So here's the million-dollar question. Is this all just an elaborate fan fiction, or is there really an explosive secret that's been hiding in plain sight for over a decade? The resemblance theories, the timeline coincidences, the emotional connections, Kelly's strategic silence, it all adds up to a story that refuses to die because maybe, just maybe, the truth's been buried underneath all the speculation. What do you think? Are we witnessing the biggest cover-up in music history? Or just the internet doing what it does best, creating drama where none exists? Drop your thoughts in the comments and smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe because this story is far from over.